When I began Sounds True in 1985 at the age of 22, it was an experiment. I figured I have enough money for about 2 years to try this thing on. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, I'll have to go out and get a job, which is what I'm facing now. And I'm not particularly employable. And in 2 years, I won't be particularly employable either, but I won't be worse off. Not really. I'll have tried this 2-year experiment, and let's see what happens. Let's let it unfold. And I emphasize this idea of experimentation because I think sometimes we have the misconception that if we listen deeply inside and we get an inspiration, we're going to emerge from that dark soup. We're going to pick up the bow and arrow. We're going to pull the bow back. The arrow is released and bullseye, we hit it. And I just don't think it works that way. At least it hasn't worked that way often in my life. Often if the arrow hits the target anywhere on the target, that's great, that's wonderful. Let's try again. Let's adjust. Let's stand a little closer. Let's make the bullseye bigger. Let's breathe differently. You get the point. Recently, I was reading about a local gluten-free bakery because they make a type of French bread that my partner just loves. She loves this French bread. $7.50 a loaf. It's worth every bite. And I was reading about how the gentleman, the baker, developed this French bread. And you ready for this? It took him 200 tries with the recipe before he got gluten-free French bread to be airy and fluffy and to taste the way that gluten-filled French bread can taste. 200 tries. It impressed me when I read that, and I thought I really need to remember that when it comes to the process of bringing forth what we envision and bringing it out into the world. Some people in today's language might call it iteration. We keep iterating. I don't know why people like that word better than experimenting. I like the word experimenting. It reminds me of being a bit like a mad scientist in a lab, trying things out. And Sounds True began as an experiment, and here, 30 years later, I have to tell you, it's still an experiment. Or you could say, we're still iterating. It doesn't end. I think part of that is because we're a multimedia business, and the world of media keeps changing. And part of that is I think that that's the nature of learning. Learning always goes on and continues and bubbles up and is frothy and is filled with new life and new forms and new possibilities. Let's track back now 30 years to the beginning of Sounds True. It began with just me and a tape recorder. Now we have about 100 employees. Here I am with my tape recorder, recording conferences, editing those recordings, and beginning to put them into a catalog. And soon after the company was launched, the local newspaper, the Boulder Daily Camera, decided to do a story on what was this young woman up to at Sounds True. After they interviewed me, they said the story was going to come out in the weekend paper. Got the paper, looked in the paper, couldn't find the article anywhere. Looked through the whole paper again, couldn't find the article. Here was the curious thing. It was in the business section. But I didn't think at that point, I think I was about 25 years of age, I didn't even think to look in the business section. I was looking in the lively arts section. I was looking in the front part of the paper. I didn't even think at the time of Sounds True as a business. And I want to talk about that because at the time I thought that business was actually not just a dirty word, but a dirty industry, a dirty thing to do with one's life. I thought that business